Hello, everyone. John Hendrix for Saints News Network coming at you with another recap for Saints training camp. Day 16 joint practices out here with the Chargers. We're out here at Jack R. Hammett Sports Complex in Costa Mesa. Just kind of break down some of the action for you today. But before we do, as always, we want to thank Justin Burgess of BenPro for sponsoring today's show. Again, if you have a business that's in the greater New Orleans region and need help with employee benefits or health insurance, give my man Justin a call, 504-888-8038. He will get you taken care of. Tell him John Hendrix sent you. So, day 16, Saints training camp out here. You can see I'm probably going to pay for not putting some sunscreen on. It was bright and sunny here. It was amazing weather, and I look forward to it. But, it's still a little bit hot. You might see a little bit of sweat trickling down, but that's okay because that's how things roll in the real world. But, looking at practice, coming in, it was just good to be out here, right? I just have fond memory of just last night being 67 degrees and going outside and just feeling how awesome it was. And this morning, getting up, having some coffee outside, the wind's blowing. It's just a pleasant day out here. And we've got some type of hurricane that's coming. So I guess we brought that with us from New Orleans. But talking about Saints football, being serious, let's start with attendance like we always do. And some big deals here, right? And so let's start with who wasn't here. So Taysom Hill, still dealing with that oblique strain. He wasn't out here today. Traquan Smith. And then we also had Landon Young, Jesse James, and then Lynn Bowden Jr. Now, you might have said, well, there's some other players that you didn't name that we need to get a little bit more information on. So Rashid Shaheed was out here. He's been dealing with that groin injury. Now, he wasn't in pads or anything, had his jersey on. So it's encouraging to see him being around here. He was one of the first players. Cesar Ruiz, he hurt his shoulder during the game, had it flare up at practice the other day. He was out here working off to the side. You also had Andres Pete come back to practice. He was working through, kind of the walkthroughs, and he also working in offensive line drills, but nothing in like team. So he's working his way back. He was working off the side. Demario Davis was here, first linebacker in walkthroughs, also working off the side. So I'm saying all these things that the Saints are in a spot where they are getting a lot healthier. Kirk Merritt was back today. Lucas Kroll was back, guys that we just haven't seen. And then Kendre Miller, probably the best news. He was back and, doing drills and such. It wouldn't go far as to say team or anything like that. He's dealing with that knee sprain, has a brace on his right knee. And so it was just encouraging sign just to see him in pads. So Saints health is trending in the right direction. Now, again, on Taysom Hill, oblique strain, Dennis Allen saying the other day that he was going to be out of practice for about 1 or 2 days. We'll see what kind of happens there, but getting to the action. So now split it up because you got a couple of fields, and the way things went down on Thursday is that I focused in on the offense. And so Ross Jackson focused on the defense. He's going to have his recap on that much later. And then we're going to flip flop tomorrow. So I'll be watching the defense. And so what I would say offensively, first things first is Chris Olave. Again, keep talking about him, keep hyping him up. He's the real deal, folks. He's definitely going to take a major leap this year. And he was so good last year. I mean, as a rookie, we've talked about him, bulked up 5 to 7 pounds, working on his contested catch as part of his game. Look, he did in one-on-ones. He beat Asante Samuel 4 times. He went up against Asante Samuel. He looked outstanding, burned him on routes, even getting held, making catches in the process. I mean, this guy just looks so good, so comfortable, and we've kind of talked about it on here. The chemistry between him and Derek Carr feels like it's probably at the top of it, of everything right now, and everything else is secondary. And so I think first and foremost, Chris Olave looked really good today so far. And so looking forward to much more from him. Don't know if the starters are going to play on Saturday, Sunday, because we got all Sunday preseason games. Remains to be seen. Carr was asked after practice if he was going to. He doesn't know the plan yet. I think we'll get a little bit more insight on that. I would be shocked if they're going to play. But again, we have to see how these things play out. Don't know for sure, but I think you're going to get a lot more value out of these joint practices because we had like 5 different team drills today. And so you had 7-on-7, then they did team drills, a couple of them. Then they worked on a drive where you had to get, 4 downs to get a first down, all the types of things, normal stuff. You had 2-minute, you had red zone. I mean, it was all the things that you would expect. And this is not like a Ole, type of fest or anything like that. People were hitting out here. This is padded practice. This is proud as real as it gets because it's two teams. Now tempers were held in check for the most part. Nobody really flared up. You got some jawing back and forth. That's common. You're just going to see those types of things. But overall, real good temperament, at least on the offensive side. I know people are saying, "Oh, Trevor Penning, we're waiting on it." Speaking to him, I thought he did pretty good in pass protection today. I think that's an area where he's getting better at and better each day. And most of the coaches, they tend to agree there. So as far as it goes, I'd look at some of the things to take away from here. One-on-ones were just exciting. I think after today, a guy like Kawan Baker, his stock is kind of going up a little bit for me. This is easily his best training camp practice, I think, ever since he's come into the league and covered this team pretty long time. But he's heating up at the right time. I'm interested to see if he can keep this going. Look, wide receiver 4 to 6, presumably, I think they still keep 6. Depends on special teams and how that plays out. They could go 5 though. But I think he's a guy, if he can put a surge there. I mean, he's been around this program for a while. He understands. He's played special teams. He's making some catches. He looks pretty good today. Just somebody to watch. And I think Brian Edwards is another one. Look, I said this is a guy that was kind of a little bit more disappointing to start off, but he had a really good week last week. He did pretty good in the preseason. He had another pretty good day today. He's somebody I think that's starting to come along and pick up a little bit more. And so that's always good when you see players that ascend versus the guys that just start hot and then just fizzle out. Like we saw that a good bit. But, look, I really liked Winston in 2 minute. I liked Carr did pretty well in 2 minute. Blake Groupie looked pretty good too on the day. The vantage point, I don't think the goalposts are still there. I have to get a picture of it and send it or try to keep it in recap. So you got the long goalpost, and then he has this much of a goalpost to look at. Like, I mean, it's very, very, very much smaller sample size to kick. And he did pretty well on it. We got officials out here. They called a couple, and one of them was wide right. So I definitely agree. One of the kicks was wide right. One of the other ones that they ruled was no good. I thought it was good myself, and so I'm going to give it to him on that aspect. But, I think overall, I think the Chargers defense posed an interesting problem for the Saints because they're a 3-4 defense, and similar to the Green Bay last year, you don't play many 3-4 defenses in your season. It's just not as common, and so I think that's great practice for this team. Offensively, I'm not going to tell you that they look great, right? I think they were okay. They had some false start penalties. They had a few things here and there, drives that kept alive by flags, whether it was illegal contact or defensive pass interference and such. There was a point where the first several drives just didn't look that good, and this is two teams filling each other out. And so why I say that and bring that up is you might hear some people say, well, the offense looked like garbage or the defense looked like garbage. I'm going to reserve judgment till tomorrow. Now I'm going to watch the defense. Ross is going to watch the offense if I didn't tell you or if you forgot. And so I would expect after they watch the film, make the corrections, that we should see a better performance out of each unit. I know there were some splash plays, some highlights, some things here and there, but I would expect to see both sides have a better outing tomorrow, and then that should lead to a little bit better results. But, look, Alvin Kamara got in for a 4-yard touchdown. Jameis Winston connecting to Kawan Baker for a touchdown. I mean, I think there was just a few good moments here and there. There was some thumping going on. Michael Thomas looked good. I mean, overall, I thought Jimmy Graham, going through my notes, he made a couple of good catches, especially in 7-on-7, getting a few people amped and such. But overall on the day, look, I think it was a good practice. I mean, this experience is valuable, of course, because you're going to have the Texans next week. You had two sides of the field. I mean, I don't know if I can do it because of the Zoom, but I'll try because why not? So give you a little bit of look and perspective. And yeah, we're going to go on the go. We're going to do stuff because, we don't have any special agenda or anything format. So I don't know if you could tell by that goalpost, but how short it is compared to an actual goalpost, which probably is going to be on your other side. I mean, you can't really see, but this is just a mini goalpost. So not a lot of stuff going on here. So that's what I was talking about for Blake Groupie. But the scene out here was really nice. You got the action from fans in the stand. There were some Saints fans out here. They got some special invites. Some in the stand. You had to be a season ticket holder to get all that. But look, I had fun today. I love this thing. I love this job. I love going and covering this team. I'm only looking forward for more out of it. You know, we got to talk to Cam after practice, Tyron Matthew, and Derek Carr. Michael Thomas talked. Ross will have that interview up soon. And then, of course, DA will get more of those guys tomorrow. But again, filling things out. Nothing huge to take away other than, I'd say, Chris Olave and a lot of these players being back. We'll reserve judgment. We'll have more of them tomorrow. And, of course, we'll be back here tomorrow to talk about it. Hopefully, we got a game to worry about on Sunday and not have to worry about all this other craziness with this storms or Hurricane Hillary. Yeah, I just can't believe that for the life of me. But at any rate, guys, appreciate all your support, your help, all of the things that you do. Really thank you so much for everything that you continually do. Be sure to go to saints.media or si.com/NFL/Saints to read up on all the details, notes, observations, everything you need to know about offense and practice today, the situations, who did what, did win, all those types of things are in my recap. Ross will have the defense up soon. I'm John Hendrix for Saints News Network. Thanks again to Justin Burgess of Ben Pro for sponsoring today's show. I'm out. Thanks, guys.